Hey my good friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we're looking at the 2017 Nissan Rogue Hybrid, all new for this year. First time a hybrid's been introduced in the Rogue line, and it's going to compete directly with the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid and a few other vehicles in class that are very similar, like the Kia Niro and that Ford C-Max. So my question is first, does it compete? But what's it like to live with? Before we get out on the test drive, we're going to talk about styling just a little bit because they gave this an update for 2017, both the gas version and the hybrid. And so what we've got here is a deeper version of Nissan's V-Motion grille. It's a little bolder and I think much better looking than the previous design. New headlights, new grille. Down in the lower fascia, also a completely new design. Now we're in an SV right here, so we don't have the full fog lights. As you can see, those are black covers down there that still give a nice trim element. The headlights on this particular one, again, not the top of the line, but they do have LED driving lights, as you can see, and they light up pretty well, even with the halogen bulbs. One thing you'll notice is the fact that this looks identical to the standard gas model. They didn't dress it up and change it up just because it's the hybrid. Really, the only differences you're going to see here are the hybrid emblem down there on the door. Now wheels on this one also the same as the gas version. Here on the SV we've got the 17-inch alloys. From the rear three-quarter view, I think the Rogue has always been pretty handsome here in this generation, much better looking than the Pathfinder in my opinion. And for 2017 they did sharpen it up just a little bit. New taillight design there. Here, they're still halogen taillights, not full LED like some in class. And the rear fascia's got a nice sharp and sort of sculpted look down there with a little bit of a technical detail going on there in the trims. And like what we saw up front, they didn't really change it up just because this is a hybrid here. You've got the emblem there on the deck lid, really being the only indicator that this is the hybrid. Now because this does have the option package with a few extra things, this has the power opening rear lift gate, which can open and close with that key fob. There's also a button on the inside, but aside of using those two things, you can also do the hands-free feature by kicking your foot there underneath. So a nice feature, I think. Very nice when you've got an armful of groceries. So overall, I think the styling here, it is pretty sharp here in the segment, and I like the fact that they kept the hybrid very similar looking to the standard version. As we're sitting here in the interior of the Rogue, you'll have to pardon the fact that I've got the engine running and the air conditioner on. It's 110 degrees here in Phoenix today, and well, I'm trying to stay cool so I can talk to you nice and comfortable like. But comfortable is what this interior is. These seats, the overall seating position here, I've always liked it here in the Rogue, as well as the materials that they have here. Very high quality for this class. You've got soft touch materials here on the dash and the tops of the doors, and the trims and other details in here are just very well done for the price. Now for 2017, they updated things just slightly. The center stack as well as the trim pieces around the vents, now sort of a black piano black instead of the chrome or the metal finish that they had before. And what's nice about this piano black is it's actually sort of a metallic color instead of just plain black. And what that means is instead of looking like it's dusty, it's already got sort of a sparkly look to it that, well, it could be dusty and you wouldn't necessarily know it. Here in Arizona where it's dusty, that's a good thing. But when it comes to comfort, I like it. The seating position here, very car-like, less SUV-like. You're not looking down on the hood like you are in some SUVs here. You're sitting down in this vehicle, so it's a little bit more car-like than some. Always a personal preference, but getting a comfortable position here is very easily done. You've got a tilt and telescoping steering wheel, power seat here in the SV trim, and because I do have the hybrid premium package, this does have also the heated steering wheel. These are heated seats here in the SV, and here in the SV these are cloth seats. A nice sturdy looking cloth, and it's a breathable material. I spent all day driving in this, quite a few days. Never felt uncomfortable sitting here in the heat, so it's a nice material in that way. Now when it comes to fit and finish, this is very well put together. The switchgear is of a high quality here on the steering wheel, on the center stack, the door panels. As I sit here looking forward to an instrument cluster, I've got a traditional 2-dial cluster with a TFT display screen in the center, which allows you to display any number of different things. When it comes to storage, there's a lot of it here. Down here in the lower center console, you've got a huge area for your phone, even a small tablet. There's an auxiliary and a USB power port down there. There's also a 12-volt power port, a total of 3 in this vehicle. Another one can be found right here in the center armrest, where there's also plenty of storage. But this center console is just very well laid out. It's got 2 cup holders here located down low, so they're out of the way. You can have tall cups here, won't interfere with your shifter, and then there's also a smaller cubby right there behind those, along with the heated seat switches here for the SV seats. So it's very well laid out, it's simple, it's down to business, something I always like in an interior. Here in the back seat, I think your passengers are going to be pretty happy because there's plenty of room, as you can see. Now these seats are about halfway forward, halfway back, except for my height, about 5'9", and so you could have taller people there in the front seat and still have reasonable room back here for adults. Now this vehicle does have the panoramic roof, part of that package I've referenced, and even with that roof, there's plenty of headroom back here for me, and some good amenities back here. I've got HVAC vents, very good right now. The HVAC, the air conditioner blowing on me right now. It's 110 degrees outside, so I mentioned that already. It's hot, but I'm comfortable. That's the great thing here. Now these seats, the seating height here is actually pretty high for the class, which does contribute to comfort. I'm not sitting down with my legs perched up. I always like that. As you'd expect, these seats do fold down in a 60-40 split, a near flat low floor when they're down. And the great thing about this vehicle is it has a very nice storage solution there in the back. Underneath that floor, hidden storage. Even better, below that floor, even in the hybrid, there's a spare tire, not an inflator device. Always a great thing with an SUV. As you can tell, I'm pretty pleased with this interior. Now, granted, it's not an Audi, it's not a BMW, it's not a Lexus inside, but when you compare it against other vehicles in its very own class, it's top of class. So this interior gets 5 out of 5 stars. On the topic of infotainment here, we've got Nissan's top-of-the-line 7-inch Bose audio navigation system. Now, starting with the overall living with it every day, you've got a satin finish screen here, which has pretty decent visibility, but it is not shrouded from the sun. So depending on your angle with the sun, sometimes you get quite a bit of glare there. So it could be a little bit easier to see. The graphics, though, are pretty crisp. They're pretty well laid out, as are the menus. The controls here, you've got hard controls. On the sides, you've got volume and you got tuning knobs, something I always look for. So controls here are very good. It really comes down to visibility and navigating the menus, where there's always a little bit of room for improvement. The navigation system does work pretty good, and the audio, while it is very, very good, Bose is a good name. I wouldn't say it's the best in class, but it still is, I'd say 4 out of 5 stars when it comes to the audio quality. In the total score here, I look at everything though. It is missing some features. It's missing Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. On the other hand, it has great things like the 360-degree around view monitor. So when it comes to backing up, parallel parking in tight spots, you do have that extra functionality there. But overall, this system gets 4 out of 5 stars. Under the hood of the Rogue Hybrid is something quite different than you're going to find under the hood of the standard Rogue. Obviously, here it's a smaller 4-cylinder engine. Instead of 2.5 liters, it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder, and it's mated to a continuously variable transmission here with a 40 horsepower electric motor built in. The system offers a total horsepower rating of 176 with a 144 pound-feet of torque rating. Now, the EPA says it'll get 31 mpg city, 34 mpg highway, and 33 mpg combined. Now, whenever I start a test drive, I always ask the question, how does it go? Woo! It really comes alive, that I can say. Actually, power's not bad at all here, even though it's not quite as much horsepower as you might get in the standard Rogue. It's plenty, and if you really ask for it, it really gives it to you. And that's the thing here. When it comes to hybrids in this class, well, there are 2 major competitors, and the RAV4 Hybrid from Toyota, a big step down in my opinion in the overall driving behavior, because you're going from a standard transmission to a continuously variable transmission. So that's a big difference right there. But that hybrid system also isn't quite as refined as this. Here in the Rogue, you've already got a continuously variable transmission in the standard model, so going into the hybrid, really no difference in the way they drive. The big one is the fact that, well, the gas engine turns on and off occasionally, and you have electric only power, usually at slower speeds. And I have to hand it to Nissan. They've done a good job tuning this such that the transition from gasoline to electric and back and forth is pretty seamless. This is one of the better behaved hybrid systems out there on the market, especially in stop and go traffic around town. I'm very impressed. Now, the one area that I'm not as impressed, it's fuel economy. Rated at 33 mpg, and in my week with my all-wheel drive tester here, I got 25 mpg, and that is counted at the gas pump. Not very much different than the standard Nissan Rogue, so didn't get anywhere near the 33 mpg combined. So on that aspect, well, you know, it's anecdotal. Other vehicles out there, other tests that I've seen, very similar results. So powertrain gets 4 out of 5 stars. Woo! On the topic of handling, this isn't bad at all, and I've always felt that the Rogue is a pretty good handling vehicle in its segment. The hybrid really isn't a downgrade at all, and sometimes they are. The one thing I would point out here is that the tires on this aren't quite as grippy as you might expect because they're made for fuel economy. So if you really do go around a corner a little bit fast, you might notice that they, well, they don't hold quite as tight. But the great news is it's a very quiet ride, even with that panoramic roof, and it's a solid ride. This has got a very well sorted chassis, as the Rogue always has. Steering feels reasonably good for the class, even though it is electric. And really the only complaint I have about the chassis is going over tar strips and big bumps. Sometimes you do get the occasional noise and crash from that suspension. But overall, the overall driving experience here in the Nissan Rogue Hybrid, every bit as good as I found it in the standard Nissan Rogue. So chassis gets 4 out of 5 stars. On the measure of quality, it's something very important to me. I spent a lot of time looking these vehicles over top to bottom very, very closely. And here we've got great paint finish, body panel fit and alignment, also very, very good. And the materials inside and out are really class leading here. I think the Rogue and the Rogue Hybrid very well put together overall. Quality comes in 5 out of 5 stars. On the topic of safety here, what we've got, an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. That's because it gets good in all other crash tests, as you can see, including that small overlap, but it also has a superior level of crash avoidance technology. And this year, these headlights also get an acceptable rating, which is the minimum now for that Top Safety Pick Plus. So when it comes to safety, top of class. All right, my friends, wrapping it up for the Nissan Rogue Hybrid, I think they put together a very nice package here compared to the RAV4 relative to the interior quality, the driving style, the driving dynamics, meaning the handling, the powertrain. I really think all of those things are definitely a step up from the RAV4. What I didn't find a step up from the RAV4 Hybrid is the fuel economy. I got 25 when it promises quite a bit more. And I really tried too. I tried for that 25. So when I look at value here we're at $31,000 and some change with an option package. You can get this down under 30 quite a bit. When it comes to features for the money, I think we're pretty much on parity with that RAV4 Hybrid. And here you do have the option of front wheel drive or all wheel drive, not stuck with all-wheel drive like in that RAV4. Two different kind of systems there. But in essence, when I look at value, I have to look at not only what you get for the money, but in the case of the hybrid here, how it compares fuel economy, because you want that big step up when it comes to fuel economy, spending up for the hybrid. And here, I just don't see it. So value, I put it 4 stars. When you put that in with everything we've already talked about, we're 4 stars for the review. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Man, it is hot out there today, 113 degrees as I say this. Whew, it is hot. Anyway, if you like the test drive you just saw, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking on the big round logo right there. Also, see my latest test drive. That's there on the big square. Either way, stay tuned.